How's it going, everyone? My name is Chris. Thank you guys for visiting the channel today. I hope all of you are doing well, especially around this crazy times. I hope everyone is staying home, working on music. I know it's been a minute. It's exciting because I'm almost at 3,000 subscribers, which I want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel, who leaves comments, who likes, dislikes the videos, whatever the case is. Thank you guys so much for your support. I really appreciate you guys a lot, especially the people that support the channel consistently. So yeah, it's been a minute since I've kind of shown my face around here. I think it was long overdue. And I do apologize if the room is a little bit echoey. I haven't placed any acoustic treatment, which I know is very important, especially if you're going to be doing mixing. And I'm going to be doing a lot of mixing in this room. So my goal is to, set up some panels, probably add a diffuser at the top roof, some bass traps on the sides. I personally would like to build them just because spending $700 or so on acoustic treatment sounds a little bit too much to me, especially if you're able to just go to Home Depot and kind of put things together yourselves for like not even anything close to that. That would probably be my best bet. I'm not very handy when it comes to putting things together like that. But one thing about me is I love learning. I love the process. So if I'm able to get my hands on something and create something like that, I think it would just add a little bit more value to my home setup, knowing that I made those panels, etc. So what we're going to be working on today is we're going to be working on the 4000. Sorry, I don't know why I thought the 4000 was on that side. We're going to be working on the 4000 because I wanted to show you guys this cool little trick where in current times, especially if you're using a digital audio workstation like Pro Tools, Cubase, Ableton, Logic, the whole sidechain compression is it's very easy to do on those digital audio workstations. But for something like an MPC 4000, it didn't come with that feature. That's why I'm calling this video an emulation of sidechain compression, because it's not necessarily sidechain compression because you're missing the attack and release. And the attack and the release is a really big source of how the sound is controlled, or how you get that pumping sound from the sidechain compression. But we are going to use the MPC 4000 to try to emulate that feature, in case anyone that has an MPC 4000 is wondering how to get maybe a little bit more pump straight from the drum machine, straight from the sampler, instead of throwing it into your software. Now you do have to tweak with it a little bit, but I'll go over that process once we get there. So let's get to it. Our goal is to emulate a sidechain compressor like the ones you find in your digital audio workstation. Now, before getting started with this emulation, it's important to make sure that the main sample or sound that you're going to be using is in a different program from your drum sounds. Once you're in the program window, you're going to go to List by pressing F1. And by default, you'll always have a program 1 created automatically every time you boot the machine. So you're just going to click on the window button, and you're just going to click on New, which is F5. You name your program whatever you want. Once you finish naming your program, you're going to go ahead and press New, and you're going to go ahead and press Do It. And that's going to create a program for you. And that program could be specifically for your samples or your drums or whatever other sounds that you're going to be using that you want to separate from your main sample. Once you've made sure that the sample and the drums are in different parts, then you can go ahead and record your sequence. In this example, I will be starting with the sample first. I'll make sure that I'm selecting part 2 to access my sampled sounds and record this pattern. So I go down to the part section, and I have my sample listed in part 2. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to move my cursor to the right, just one. I know that this program is the sample program because that's the name that I gave it. So now I'm just going to record a pattern. Now I'm going to record a very basic and simple drum sequence. I just want to add some hi-hats. Now, once you're happy with your pattern, you need to go to the left-hand section of the MPC, which is titled the QLink section. Now we're going to select Setup. Now for this example, I'm going to use QLink fader number 5, but QLink fader number 6 can also be utilized with the same exact steps. It doesn't matter which one you use, but you could use either or. By hitting setup on the MPC, it brought me to the QLink setup window. Like I mentioned earlier, I am going to be using QLink number 5, so I'm going to use my cursor and bring myself all the way down to QLink number 5. Now, as you can see, I have about 6 options, right? Part, assign, type, range, control, and MIDI. So in order for this to work, we're going to set it up to part number 2. This is where I was discussing the importance of separating your samples, because in order for us to be able to do it properly, as we're only going to be selecting a specific program. Now for assign, I'm going to assign the amplitude because that is the closest thing to sidechain compression. Compression itself involves amplitude. So I'm going to leave it at that. And as for type, I have offset and I have replace. I'm going to leave it on replace. And for this scenario, this basically means when the fader is all the way down, it's negative 100. When the fader is all the way up, it's plus 100. So I'm going to leave it at negative 100 because negative 100 technically means 0. And when I place 0 here on the right side, it's going to mean that it's going to bring me back to my normal level. If I would have left it at plus 100, it would have raised the volume of the entire beat, and that's not what we want. As far as control and MIDI, you can leave those as is. Now we're going to go to the sequence window by pressing this button right here, sequence. And once the QLink sequence window has populated, I'm going to press F2 to take me to the slider, because the slider means the faders. So once I'm in this page, my time signature at the moment is at 116. So I'm going to go up here and change that to 116, but you have the option of changing it to quarter notes, eighth notes, 32, 64, etc. Like I mentioned, I'm going to leave it at 116. And as you notice, the bottom is representing the second fader, which is fader Q6. And I need to make sure that I turn on Q5. If I was using Q6, I would turn on Q6. But in this scenario and in this example, we're using Q5. So I'm going to press F5 to turn on. Once we've done that, we need to make sure that we turn on this QLink sequence button. If we don't turn on that button, and if this button is not illuminated, you will not hear the effect. I went ahead and did an extreme version so you guys can hear how this process affects the audio. So now I'm going to press play so you guys can listen. Now, like I mentioned, this example is very extreme because I want you guys to be able to hear the changes that are going on as the sequence is playing. It does take a little bit of tweaking, but it is a very cool little effect. And I think it adds just a whole different type of dynamic to the entire beat. And it's very easy to accomplish on the MPC 4000. And I would recommend for anyone to just give it a shot and try it out, see how you like it. Like I mentioned, you do kind of have to tweak at it just a little bit. It might be a little time consuming, but you know, the end result, I mean, you can't go wrong, right? So I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys found this video helpful, please leave it in the comment section below. I will see you guys on the next video. Peace out. Let's keep on making bangers.